There's something about these Bangladeshi teams. Every time they have their backs against the wall, more often than not, they come out swinging. Hello and welcome. You're watching Cricbuzz Live. My name is Tanay Tiwari. Sri Lanka won the toss, put Bangladesh into bat first, and for a majority of that innings, they would have thought they'd done a good job with the ball. But then towards the end, the last 5 yielded 60 for Bangladesh. They end with 183 for 7 at the end of their 20 overs. Parthiv Patel Tanay was brilliant. We've seen his exploits in the Bangladesh Premier League. Here he exhibited some of that shot making as well. Miraz opened the innings this time around, did get a good start for Bangladesh, and Mahmudullah, of course, came in very late, as opposed to PPPD's decision and willingness, the wish to want Mahmudullah to bat first and early, but that didn't happen. Bangladesh end with 183 for 7. My name is Tanay Tiwari. With me, of course, Ajay Jadeja and PPPD Parthiv Patel. Welcome, gentlemen. Parthiv, good score. Bangladesh would be very happy.
Very good score. Bangladesh would be really happy, especially when we were talking about the same ground here, same wicket, where India got 190, and if you're talking about Bangladesh and Sri Lanka, both equally matched team, and to get 183 is a very good score. And I thought, you've rightly put, they came out swinging. They came out with the really positive mindset, which is needed when you're playing crucial games like this. When you go with your doubts and when you are thinking something, then more often than not, you are not in the right side of the result. But here, I think they've done the first half really well. But in our game, as we say, what matters is the second half. I think that matters a lot.
Yeah, correct. AJ, if you look at that progression as well, they've continuously ensured that they keep scoring runs. Of course, there was this lull between 7 to 10 and then 11 to 15, but there too, the run rate never really dropped.
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, to keep that going for not just that one period, 7 to 10, but from 11 to 15, which is actually a major part of the game. And to have, averaging at that score and only losing 3 wickets at that stage allows you to play, right at the end, what you said, they got, 60 odd? Or 90,
60 in the last.
Yeah, 98 in the last 10.
Yeah.
When we got on, it was 85 in the halfway mark. So they've done exceptionally well. But, what Parthiv said, I think it was a start that, they took that chance and took a lottery with Mehndi.
Yeah.
And that came off, and it came off, and it perfectly, he got out also at the right time.
Yeah.
When the field opened up, then the guys who were coming in had enough time to, get in and play their innings, and they all carried on moving. And Musaddiq's been fabulous. I mean, look at the last game, he, batted brilliantly. And here, 9 balls, 24. I mean, that really, from the difference between 170 and 180, is that what you see at the end. But at every stage of that game, Bangladesh looked to, they couldn't have done anything more, I think.
Yeah, they were spirited in their response, and especially Musaddiq, as AJ mentioned, he's got the confidence from the last game, scored a 40-odd there, got that 1 wicket as well. But the one thing that we were talking about in the last game was this approach. That's a new word in T20 cricket. The approach, the fashion, perhaps it was outdated in the last game. Bangladesh should be very happy with the way they've batted, the approach.
Yeah, that's what they needed when we spoke about that. If we see that the run rate which they started with, in first 6 overs, they got almost a run rate of 10. So they almost got 53, 54 runs in first 6 overs, so 9.16. And then they kept going with that run rate, especially when you got a run rate of almost 9, then you don't want to drop to 6. They kept the momentum going. They made sure that the runs are coming. They made sure the singles are coming. Even the wickets fell, and that's when the experience of Mahmudullah again came in at the 10th over. And he made sure that he was ticking along and someone else was taking their chances from the other end. So if you look at the proper T20 template which we talk about, you go really hard at first 6 overs, and if you've not lost wickets, then make sure that you're still carrying on with that run rate, not that, but somewhere around that, which they did, and finish in the flurry with keeping wickets in hand. So if you look at the overall, I think they should be printing this in the dressing room all the time and think that this is the proper approach. Maybe they were at 183. They might get 170 at some stage in some of the games, but it's not a bad score on wicket like this. And 183 is exactly what I mean. It's a proper score on this wicket on this ground.
Shakib and Mushfiqur, though, would not want that printout to have their names, because if that batting order had those 2 names firing as well, this score could have been well in excess of 200. But the one thing that has happened, and that will give Bangladesh a lot of confidence, AJ, is despite Mushfiqur and Shakib not firing, they've played really well. And due credit for that has to go to Parthiv Patel. The way he batted, I mean, Shakib was out and they did seem like in troubled waters with 3 overs still from Hasaranga to go. And the way he batted, this was brilliant.
Yeah, he was brilliant. And I mean, I hadn't seen much of him before today. He looks like a man not with so much power, and the strike rate that he did, he managed to get a lot of runs in that short fine leg area. He manipulated the whole field around, and then when he tried to really hit it hard, which is looks like not his strength, that's when he got out. But he allowed Mohammedullah to the innings that he was referring to do that, because if both were playing in a certain pace, then things look different. Here, there you see 18 balls, he scored 32, which allows Mohammedullah to hold that innings together. And this is like the template that he says. I think this is a template that you'll see in history of cricket. It'll always be the senior pro holding the fort together. It will always be the young man who will come and surprise the opposition. Every time seen by the others, you know exactly where you play, how you approach a different situation. But the surprise element in a game has invariably been brought in by the youngsters, and here you see the same happening there. The perfect example. But if somebody who's only looking at numbers and saying, Mohammedullah is slow yaar, or if you look at him, but why he can do that is the reason is this, that you're a young man, one, you're fearless, you're not worried about other things, you don't have the pressure of holding that team together. That's why he's gone up to bat ahead of him as well, despite of how we look at it. So that allows a youngster to play freely, and that's why the senior pros actually get a little bamboo or from the fans and people looking and saying, if this young man can do it at this pace, why can't you do it? But what they don't realize is that the young man is able to do it because that old man is alongside him. And that's a different role that he needs to play. And we'll keep seeing this pattern. So it's easier when when we talk only about Indian team now, people get a little emotional and upset. So it was an easier option here to showcase what happened yesterday, and a lot of people talking about how things went. And India, at the end, India got to 190 plus or whatever. I mean, they should have got more in it's Hong Kong. But in this case, they've gone to a score which is more than par or more than what they would have expected. Why? Because the young man did what he's supposed to do, and the old man carried on doing his job.
Yeah, you need a balance. You always need a balance. There's got to be a balance that has to be struck between experience and youth. And today, the way Bangladesh did that, as Ajay rightly mentioned, there was Mahmudullah at one end, then there was Afif, then we saw Musaddiq as well. So perhaps Bangladesh can look at it as a template, perhaps print it out and paste this template everywhere. Get the youth to do the big runs, get the youth to do the heavy lifting with the experience with their side every time. And that's something that can really work for them. But the one thing that didn't seem to work towards the end for Sri Lankan bowlers was the fact that they had to bring that extra fielder in. The over 8 rule kicked in, and we saw a lot of boundaries being scored towards the end.
It's going to be a big factor going forward now. I think teams will have to be, make sure that they plan really well, so that when you have to change your field in the end overs, and that's how usually we used to play. We used to say, if you do it faster in first 15 overs, then you have time to basically think of your field, because that's when the game actually turns, and that's when the fielders and if someone comes in and comes with all guns blazing like Musaddiq came in, if you want to change your plans, are you ready with your couple of plans or not? So that's when I think that's going to be a big factor going forward in T20 cricket and in one-day cricket. The captains will have to be really fast in making sure that they take decision right then and then. Do not think, this format is, we can't say they do not think too much, but come more prepared than how you are coming into the game.
Yeah, 17 runs of the last over from Asita Fernando. Now, in a crunch game like this, it's a do-or-die game for both teams. You'd want to restrict every run that you can. And then the bowler is also handicapped because you bring an extra fielder inside the circle.
Yeah, it just shows, what a small little rule change can make a difference to the game. So, imagine a time there was no 4 fielders inside in one-day cricket. You could keep as many as outside. And so the game keeps evolving, and the players will have to keep up with this. I'm not a big fan of this, having this time and finishing in that period of time, but I understand. I mean, modern-day cricket is different. Television have, commercials and how satellites work and things like that. So you need to do it. But it takes away this whole part that, Parthiv talked about. It takes away the whole, part of the sport where you would think, change your strategy, try and do things differently. Now you can't, because if you try and do that, then you're stuck with this at the end. Because one extra fielder in that circle makes a huge difference. All the people who want to see what difference it's made, go back and look at the history of one-day cricket. What were the scores of the teams around the world before the 5 fielders between 15 overs and 40 overs? And look at the scores after that.
Yeah.
It'll tell you how big a difference it's made. It's made a difference of at least about 50 runs at an average per one-day game.
Yeah.
So in 1 over, you can cut that down to whatever.
I think captains and the team bowlers will have to come out prepared, especially the bowlers who are bowling in the death overs. What if we are not bowling in time? What if we have a 5th fielder in the circle? Sometimes you decide according to a 4-fielder strategy, and suddenly, because that's not in your hand, it's ongoing game, and suddenly that you've passed the time and you want to have another fielder, so you have to come prepared with 5th fielder in your mind and your strategy. Then what will I do if which 5th fielder I'll take him in the circle?
Yeah, correct. The Sri Lankan batters are already out, so our time is running out as well. Perhaps before we leave any one of our fielders, let's have a look at the Sri Lankan bowling analysis as well. They started really well with the way Asita Fernando got that first wicket. Mahesh Deekshana was also bang on point with his bowling, and something that AJ also alluded to in the pre-match show. His economies are always right there with the best. Wanindu Asaranga did pick up 2 wickets, but was expensive as well. Asita Fernando was as well. He's of course making his T20I debut, but now it all boils down to Sri Lanka's batters. Yes, they have to gun these runs down if they have to remain in this Asia Cup, have to go to that super force. Bangladesh's bowlers will have their tails up. They will have the momentum heading into this innings. Quickly, gentlemen, before we go, prediction game. Did you win this prediction game? 171? No. By 1 run.
We deliberated a bit too early. I should have stuck to my 83.
No, he wasn't prepared with the 5th fielder strategy.
I was playing the old game. I was playing the blind game.
Okay, we always get another chance. So the power play score for Sri Lanka.
Ooh, it's a tough one. I don't know how Sri Lanka is going to approach this, because this is, they probably think it's beyond what they were expecting, so they might go hard at it.
Yeah.
And, end up with, 2 down or 3 down, or they would be closer to 55.
All right, so your score is 55? I didn't catch the number there.
55, yeah.
Yeah,
55.
I mean, if I had to pick, because
55.
if it goes their way, then it's 55.
55.
I'm saying somewhere around 43.
43, 55. I slot myself in between 48. What are your score predictions? Don't forget to tell it to us. #Cricbuzz Live. It's time for us to go. Sri Lanka are out there to bat. They have to bat for survival in this Asia Cup. Whatever happens, we'll come back at the end of the 10th over with Cricbuzz Combox, and then towards the end of the game with Cricbuzz Live. That's all that we have for you right now. You were watching Cricbuzz Live. We'll see you super soon.